Today I'm here to remind you, you don't actually miss them. Today we're going to be talking about something that is then again important for us to know in our lifetime so we don't keep spiraling and feeling terrible for no fucking reason. When you get into a relationship with someone or you get a friendship with someone and this person made you feel good essentially. So this person brought light into your life, this person brought laughter, happiness, whatever the case is. You experienced some type of excitement, you experienced joy in general, okay? When you connect with people, there's dopamine that releases, obviously. It's even primal. So when we connect with people and we relate with people and we are vulnerable with people and all these things, like there is a high that we reach, and then when people exit our lives and or like a fight happens or whatever, then there's like a really big low because you experience that high with someone. So when you experience a high with someone, inevitably you're going to experience a low. And a lot of people that don't take time to know themselves, don't take time to understand their shadows, to understand like their qualities, their defaults, whatever the case is, tend to latch on to people very quickly. This is just because people don't want to, they're just escaping themselves, essentially escaping themselves by literally distracting themselves with another person. And if that person holds things that this person cannot provide for themselves, inevitably they're going to get kind of attached to that person or even obsessed. It's not like you're actually like wanting that person, you're craving the feeling you get when you're with that person. So if you're not able to create a certain feeling without a person, and that person exits your life and you enjoyed that feeling, you will feel like you lost something, like a part of you, a sense of you. You feel like you missed the person because on the physical, that's what it looks like. It's just like, oh, I missed the person. But it's not the person you miss. You miss the feeling you got when you were with that person. You miss the peace that person gave to you and a part of you that came out while you were with that person that you cannot get when you're on your own because you don't know how to find that piece of yourself to come out of you without being with that person. Some people go throughout their lives without knowing certain parts of themselves. And then there's some people that come into their lives and they discover parts of themselves that light them up or make them feel like they're worthy or whatever the case is. It gives them something they never experienced and changes their life for the best. But the thing is that if they don't realize that this is coming from themselves and not from the person directly, they will obviously develop some type of attachment towards that person that it becomes unsustainable. Because we only miss certain people. So there's some people that come into your life and you don't see any value, right? And you don't miss them because they didn't provide anything to you. But the second someone provides something to you that actually benefits to you and makes your life quality overall better and you're like more happy and you're like see things from a different perspective, which like ultimately changes your life, that's when you're going to miss that person that walks away from your life. That's why you feel it, right? Or like, let's say when you fall in love for the first time. It's the first time you ever felt love towards a human. It's that part of you that comes out where you feel romantically attached to a human and all these things that you don't really feel on your own. The essence of falling in love with things doesn't have to be necessarily attached to a human. You can fall in love with things platonically, not romantically, not sexually. And when a human leaves your life, it won't feel like the world is crumbling. The thing is that we link it to a human, so when a human disappears from our lives, we think that we could never find love again. We think that that feeling that we felt is to never be felt again unless we go specifically to that human, which is so ignorant because it's so far from the truth. And when things happen out of your control, like people deciding to exit your life, that's when you have a decision. You have a decision to either sulk and feel like you were betrayed in some way from that person and just letting you know that no one in this world is responsible for how you feel because you can't control humans, okay? So if you cannot control something, then that external force does not hold responsibility towards how you feel. Okay, and that's with everything. So it's not different with a human. Our subconscious is wired to understand things. We want to understand things because we want to know, what we can do to move forward in the right direction. So if someone leaves your life, potentially you're going to feel um, betrayed, right? But that betrayal is more of just wanting to have that closure, right? That closure that people want when someone escapes their life is just to have a comprehension of what you did in order to get to a spot where they left your life. But what we don't realize, what we don't grasp, is that gap is not relevant to us. We want clarity, but the clarity is more trying to understand you. Because if you know yourself very well and someone leaves your life and you already know that you can provide everything for yourself, that person almost becomes instantaneously meaningless. You can be in a relationship with someone for years, and if they betray you, that you will obviously at some point, feel like some type of, like, you're gonna be sad, you're gonna be disappointed, but like you won't cling on because you know that that person doesn't have enough value to provide to you that you can already provide for yourself. And if that person isn't there to add to your life, then they're worthless. They're not worth being in your life. Therefore, you shouldn't be missing them. So why miss people that don't see your value, right? And that's where the mind game comes on because we think that we miss the person. And like, I don't know if you know, but like, if I ever go back to someone that I cut out of my life or left my life, I only feel a high of like doing the reconnection. But then after, when I reconnect, I'm like, okay, now I remember why I got them out of my life. So it's just kind of like the high of being able to grasp their energy again. But you don't necessarily want to be around them because there's a reason why you left in the first place, right? Humans just want to feel understood. We just want to understand things. We're curious and we want to be better as humans. But we search for answers in the wrong places. You cannot search for an answer through someone. That answer that you have is within yourself. So you have to look at yourself. And most people don't want to do that because it's uncomfortable and it's like tedious and it's like, ugh, like you have to kind of go through like a bit of an ego debt because you have to like be vulnerable in yourself and be like, okay, where do I hold accountability in this? Because everyone holds accountability in a certain aspect of a relationship. So if shit hits the fan or things go really bad, you still have to hold yourself accountable because for things to snowball into a horrible situation, there's a part of you that is responsible for that. Because if you knew immediately that that person was not good for you, you would immediately leave, right? Because you know they're not good for you. So for it to get so bad, it's because there's a part of you that ignored signs, that ignored things because you just wanted to feel validated from a human. But it wasn't the right human to be with. And you knew, but you decided to stay. So if there's something that triggers you when someone leaves, that's because there's something unresolved within yourself, okay? Because, like I said, a stable human will not literally lose their shit and spiral like for months on end for a human that couldn't even see their value or just left without really like having a big effect on them. If it had a big effect on you, it's because there's something in you that is not right. And that's where people will be like, that's not true, like this person did this to me, like a lot of people play victim. And I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter what that person did to you. What matters is how you see the person and knowing your value, making you able to be okay with this person leaving. Because it should disgust you when someone doesn't treat you right. It should disgust you when someone just disappoints you in general. It shouldn't be something that makes you want to become this crazy victim and make the external person a villain. If that person can't see your worth, if that person wants to move the way they move, that's on them. It's not your life. It's not your responsibility. It's time for you to look at yourself and be like, okay, this happened. Whatever. I know who I am. They gave me certain energies, but you know what? I can find these energies somewhere else. I don't need to have it just in this person specifically. And I'm gonna move on with life, But there'll be times where you're gonna miss them because you just miss the feeling of what they provided to you. And that's when you have to be like, okay, what can I do in my life right now that can give me a similar feeling? And knowing that that feeling is abundant. It's not just found in that one person or in a human. You can find a feeling anywhere, you know? We really are bad with labeling things and saying that if I have this, it equals this feeling, when it's not true. Like, you can find that feeling anywhere. It doesn't have to be tied to something that you see, that's 3D. It can be tied to literally anything. But if you label things like that you say that equals that, yeah, you're gonna think that. But think outside the box for once. Think that maybe, you know what, I can feel this feeling literally anywhere. Discovering a new city, taking a walk in the park, falling in love with the trees, with nature. These feelings are very much alive. They're always around us, you know? And we decide to just pinpoint it on a human. If you cannot find peace within yourself by just being on your own and being happy with who you are and being able to build yourself on your own, then you should not be looking for someone, because someone is temporary. You are you. You're going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. A human will only add on to your life. It should be a sprinkle. It shouldn't be someone that's building your identity. If you're getting your identity built through someone, you're doing something wrong. If you are feeling like you lost a piece of yourself because someone left, you are doing something wrong. Look at the Lizard Wiz. She got cheated on. She's 4 months pregnant. And she just recently posted something. She's like, yeah, I actually don't care. She doesn't care that Landon cheated. Like, obviously she's sad, but she doesn't care because she knows her worth. She's 4 months pregnant. She got cheated on, and she trusted this man with all her heart. And now, she doesn't give a shit. So, there's no excuses anymore. Just know that you have to take accountability, you have to take responsibility to realize you're the one that has control over your life. If you let other people dictate how you feel for months on end without them even being there, their absence is so fucking strong in your life because you let it be like that. That's your issue. And humans crave control so much. So it's like the second we lose a sense of control of someone that was important in our lives, we go crazy. We're like, what the fuck? And like, I get it, but you have to understand that you cannot control everything in life. And the biggest thing that you have to have control over is your emotions. That's the biggest power tool to master in this lifetime, because things will come and go in this life all the time. Things can happen in seconds without you knowing. So that's why you have to take care of yourself and know who you are and know your worth and have standards, have boundaries. Know yourself, know thyself. People don't want to take time to sit with themselves. So they cling on to people, they cling on to the external, they blame, they victimize, they do anything and anything to just escape their own soul. You know, that's how you lose in life. That's how you stay miserable, you stay unhappy. People shouldn't be a distraction to your loneliness. Everyone should be okay with being alone. It's something that's so important because you are your best lover. You are your most important relationship in your life. So to depend on your happiness through a human is so far from the right thing to do. It's so wrong because you're gonna keep freaking crashing out. Do you not realize that? If you keep searching for things in the wrong areas, you're gonna keep getting the same fucking result. Like, the crash out will be inevitable. You know, you're gonna get that high and then you're gonna get that low, and it's gonna be a constant roller coaster in your life. You gotta realize that that's not the way that's not the way life works, honey. Biggest power tool is knowing yourself. Your biggest power, and the more you get to know yourself, the more you realize you didn't know shit about yourself. You know, and people think they know themselves, but they know this. That's what they know. They know this. Because if you're constantly searching for external, it's because you know yourself the least. But as a human, I am whole, and I am with peace with myself. I'm at peace with myself. I'm not dependent on a human's emotional ways of being. So if someone is a certain way of being, I have no responsibility on that. That's not my problem. You know, if you want to be like that, stay like that, but it's not my energy. You know, and if you're getting fed from that, the more you're confident of yourself, the more you will attract the right people. And if these people leave your life, you just keep on trucking forward, man. You keep going forward. Because the confidence is the key. The knowing is the key. People will get into relationships that resemble their parents, you know. If your parents always demanded a lot from you and you were barely getting, you know, validated or getting attention, a lot of people end up reflecting that in their relationships where, you know, they'll do anything to get validated or to be seen or to be loved, and then if that person leaves, they feel extremely devastated and like their nervous system's all fucked because they feel like they've been abandoned, just like how they were when they were kids, you know? Things are not a part of you, you know? These are things that happen to you, and you have an identity that changes every split second. That you can change everything about yourself whenever the fuck you want. Also, the ego loves to want to fix things because we, as humans, hate uncertainty. We don't like when we don't know something or if there's like a miscommunication or whatever. Our ego will do literally anything to be understood, and that part is where you have to kill off the ego and accept things for what they are and be able to let go and surrender to certain things, knowing that some people will never understand you. Being okay with the fact that people will leave, people will not like you, people will not comprehend you, and fully accepting that. Because you cannot control the world, you cannot control the external. All you can do is control yourself. And the more you know yourself, the more you won't care what other people think. Because you know what the fuck you're providing, you know who the fuck you are, and you know how to love. And you know how to be as a human. You know? So that ego won't be fucking running and grasping and looking for some endless thing that it's not sustainable, that it doesn't fill the void, you know? That void is something that you gotta fix within yourself. Grieving is not a bad thing. You know, missing someone's presence is not a bad thing. But feeling like you lost a part of yourself is where the line should be drawn. That's not, it shouldn't go that far, you know? To think about someone once in a while and be like, oh, like, it was nice having that person in my life and we shared good memories, we had good times. But it shouldn't be like, oh my god, I literally feel terrible without this human being. Like, I don't know how I'm going to move on in life. I cannot get them out. It's not them. Just know every time if you feel that way about a certain person, it's not about them. It's about what they impact, how they impacted you, and what they did to you that altered your brain chemistry, that when they left, there was like a piece of you that got ripped out. And that piece that felt like got ripped out is always within you. It didn't leave with that human. You felt it, it's inside of you. And it was always there. That person just triggered it out of you. You saw it for once in your life. You saw that sparkle, you saw that excitement, you saw that confidence come out of you. And it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was nice. And you can have it anytime you want. You can have it anytime you want, baby. You can't lose yourself, you know? That's an illusion that we create in our heads that we're like, oh, I lost myself. You can't lose yourself. You're always there, you know? There's some people that will make you feel less like yourself. There are people that make you feel more like yourself. But you cannot lose who you are, your essence, you know? And that's where you have to be able to filter out people out of your life to make sure that you feel how you need to feel, you know, to feel powerful. And if people are draining your energy, they shouldn't be in your life because you're not feeling all the right parts of yourself. You're feeling the negative parts of yourself. Because we have all the parts. We have all the negative parts, we have all the positive parts, you know? And some people will bring out the negative, some people bring out the positive. If you want to feel more positive, then attract the right people. And if those people are bringing out more the negative, get them out of your life. Simple as that. The more you're able to master that, the more you gain wisdom, and the more you become so much more at peace, and your nervous system isn't going balls to the wall all the fucking time. Because if you have a fucked up nervous system, yeah, your life quality is clearly going to be deteriorated, like, horribly. So that's why we have to learn how to stop resisting life. Because flowing is the natural state of a human being. And if you cannot flow with what happens in life, that means you're resisting. And resisting means fucked up internals, fucked up energy, nervous system all messed up. And what does a fucked up nervous system bring? Disease. And what does disease bring? Actual diseases. Like the bad diseases. People wonder why they get, you know, the C word or all these horrible things. And yeah, of course, some of it is genetic, but it comes from something. And a lot of it is resisting life. A lot of it is working with the mind too much, other than the heart. Because the mind is the ego and the heart is the flow. Accept with your heart. Stop using this so much. We've been taught to learn to use this too much. And that's why we feel so much resistance. Just use your heart more. I was going here, but my heart's here. But yeah. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.